Last week, a man was arrested for unsafe drone flying. What happened? We discuss that next. Hello and welcome to Legal Drone, where we talk about drone and other tech stuff. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Before we begin, as always, this is not legal advice. Last week, the United States Attorney's Office for the Central District of California issued a press release where they announced that they arrested a 22-year-old man for unsafe drone flying. In their press release, they said that this might be the first case of such in the United States. And this arrest came during the National Drone Safety Awareness Week. According to the press release, there was a complaint that during last September, I believe it was September the 18th, I think it was close to midnight, there was a robbery. And the LAPD was responding to that burglary call. It was near a pharmacy, and there was a helicopter, and the helicopter pilot said that he saw the drone and he tried to evade the drone, but ultimately the drone crashed with the helicopter, and the drone during the crash caused damages to the helicopter nose and the antennas. And later the investigation said that if the drone were to hit the helicopter in the main rotor, the helicopter would have crashed. Because of the actual crash, the helicopter pilot had to engage in an emergency landing. But the ultimate problem here is that this could have been a much worse scenario than it ended being. In their news release, the United States Attorney's Office didn't specify which was the offense that this man was going to be charged, but I believe is under Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 35B, where it states the offense of unsafe flying of an unmanned aircraft. During the investigation, which was conducted by the FBI Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force, with assistance from the FAA, they secured the parts of the drone that fell from the sky, and with the drone there was an SD card, and with that SD card they identified pilot, and after that they performed a few search warrants to this person's house, and ultimately it resulted in the arrest of this 22-year-old man. So the charge basically reckless flying of a drone, and because it didn't result in bodily injury or death, this man is facing only a misdemeanor with a maximum sentence of 1 year in prison. Now, if something worse happened during that event, and for example, let's say the drone hit the main rotor of the helicopter would have crashed. In that particular scenario, this man would have been facing a maximum of 10 years in prison. Now, if you read the report, you will see that this man said that there was burglary near the pharmacy and he wanted to see what was happening. He was flying, just to, check what was happening close, during that burglary call that the LAPD got. And during that flight, the helicopter approached, and there was some basic things that didn't happen. All pilots should know that you have to give the way to manned aircraft. It's really important that you give the way to manned aircraft, and you have to remember you're flying a drone, you're flying an unmanned aircraft, you are not in the aircraft, so that sense of danger. You don't have it at that moment, and the helicopter, if the helicopter sees a object that he doesn't know what it is and he cannot identify it, he will need to do maneuvers to try to evade the object. And that is why you have to give the way to manned aircraft. So that was one of the most basic things that this man didn't do. And as a drone pilot, you should know that for the FAA and for everybody, the safety of manned aircraft, which are bigger, which are deadlier if they crash, have priority over your drone. Now, the other thing that we have to talk about is night flight. This man was flying during the night, and yeah, this probably was a hobby or recreational flight, so you don't need a waiver as a commercial pilot would have needed to fly under Part 107 rules. But you have to understand that flying at night, you need to know the area. You need to be aware of other aircraft, like always. But during the night, you need to do it with more care, because vision during the night is harder than during the day. So you might not be able to see an aircraft approaching during the night, and you need to be aware that these things are going to happen. And if you are aware of that, you might not even fly at night. I am that person that takes all the fun of fun stuff, yeah. I decided to live like that, and if you ask me, 95% of the time I probably will tell you don't do it. It's dangerous, it's illegal. That's me. If you want, other people will probably tell you do it whatever you want. So yes, during night flights you have to be more careful that during the day it's not easy to see at night as it is during the day. If you're flying at night, you have to know, if it's a recreational flight, you don't need a waiver, but you need to be able to see your aircraft. Okay, you need to have lights in your aircraft that allows you to see the location of your aircraft and the direction your aircraft is going. And yes, you need to comply with the visual line of sight rules. You have to fly within the visual line of sight, so you need to have a light that tells you the position of your aircraft at any moment, and lights that tells you the direction of your aircraft at any moment. So I think this man is lucky that this didn't become a nightmare crash for the helicopter pilot. And in the end, you need to understand that flying your drone you have to do it in a safely manner. Do not interfere with manned aircraft. It's not logical to do that. And in the end, I think that the FBI and the FAA are using this case as an example, to set the example. So if people are flying beyond the visual line of sight and they cannot see if there is a helicopter coming by, and they crash into the helicopter, so now you know what you are facing if you happen to be involved in that such kind of accident. So yes, I know federal government likes to use these example cases so they can tell certain people in certain communities, you have to do things by the book, because if you don't do things by the book, you're gonna have trouble. And in the end, it's important to fly safe because remember, you are flying something that you don't have that sense of danger because you are not in the aircraft as a helicopter pilot is, or as a airplane pilot is. So you don't go through the same thought when they are flying. So you need to put in man aircraft pilots seat to know that these are really dangerous things to do. Accidents are low. When they happen, they are deadly. So thank you for watching this video. So if you like this channel, please consider subscribing. If you like to see more drone law videos, you can click here. If you want to see my footage, you can click here. See you next time.